Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to GameSpot's Best of 2017 Countdown. We are about to announce our number 8 game of this fantastic year. Yesterday, we announced What Remains of Edith Finch was number 9, and Nier Automata was our number 10 game. I'm Mike Mahardy here with Peter Brown.
I'm still here on this couch in this damn sweater.
And Jake Decker.
Hello.
You haven't moved yet.
No.
You smell very bad. And Alessandro Filari.
Hi.
We are about to roll a montage of our number 8 game, so without further ado, let's show you what it is.
I remember. It didn't end well in the wilds. It never does. You think you could overcome the darkness, make sense of it, and once relief settles in, It's breathing. He knows she's getting closer. He wants to get it in. Come on, closer. Just get in.
You will pay a price for this.
Journey deep into darkness. There'll be no more stories after this. Nice and close so I can speak without alerting the others. I can still feel it.
Whatever's left of him, they will never let him go.
I'm not gonna let him rot here.
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No.
And all your suffering will have been for nothing.
Shut up! Dillian? Is that you?
So there you have it, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice from Ninja Theory over in the UK got our number 8 spot. A bit of a surprise, I guess. That game was going for some lofty goals, and they nailed it. Alessandro, you reviewed this game earlier in the year. What are some big things that stuck with you after the many months that have passed?
First off, I'd just like to say Jake did a great job with that trailer.
Yeah, Jake cut the
I got
montage.
chills
Nice
watching
job.
it. It was great.
was okay.
The presentation mostly is what stuck out to me. I came in as a big admirer of Ninja Theory's past work, particularly for Enslaved and DMC. Heavenly Sword was okay, but
Yeah.
I feel like seeing the games they've released, like their approach to presentation and story has refined greatly. And we're seeing with Hellblade, we're seeing them basically at the top of their game.
Yes.
This is possibly the best work they've ever done in terms of presentation, which really stuck out to me. And
Yeah.
you see that worked into the gameplay, but also the storytelling too, because the game uses some really clever tricks to present its story of its main character suffering from severe mental illness.
Yeah, so one of her symptoms is psychosis, so it can manifest as you can hear voices in your head, you can see hallucinations, which plays into the puzzle solving. So it's kind of a tricky subject to tackle, especially in a medium so young. Jake, do you think they pulled it off?
Yeah, I think they did an incredible job. And we kind of touched on this. We did an episode of Reboot on this, and one thing you pointed out was how, films have been around for quite a while now, still relatively young, but like video games are so new, yet they managed to take a subject that hasn't really been tapped into that well, especially in video games, and they really nailed it.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously some of the pillars of the game, there's the combat, which you look back at their DMC reboot, you looked at Enslaved, you looked at Heavenly Sword, they can do that third-person action combat. But in this one, it's a bit different because you're actually kind of, you're dealing with light and darkness. You have to bring the enemies out of shadow to actually be able to hurt them in certain cases. And it can get challenging, but then there's also the puzzles. And again, part of the manifestation of her psychosis is that she sees things other people won't. Pete, when you were playing through Hellblade, do you think the puzzles and the combat contributed to the overall sense of empathy for Senua, or helped you understand her character better?
The combat side of things, maybe not so much. That was really exciting and interesting in its own right, but definitely the sort of her magical beliefs that would lead her to see things through these gates in the world, and that was necessary for you as the player to figure out how to progress and how to unlock doors and access new areas. And that certainly helped me sympathize with someone who struggles to really grasp reality in the way that we all do.
and it made for an interesting gameplay mechanic that perhaps was used a little bit, leaned on a little bit too much, but I also think that it was one of the more interesting mechanics of the year, just across the board.
Yeah, they also use the binaural audio, so if you wear headphones, you get a lot more out of this game because you're actually hearing things from separate ears, and you're actually kind of, feels like it's floating around you. And then also you're talking about the presentation with Senua. So the motion capture and voice actress just won like Best Performance at the Game Awards. She actually started off on the team, I believe. I think the story is that they just were using her as like a test at first.
Stand-in.
Yeah, and then they really liked her, and so they included her. But that facial capture, I remember it was back at like a GDC in 2014 maybe when they first showed it. She was up on stage with the capture equipment. It's just fantastic the emotions it can capture, and you really need to do that in this game. Alessandro, you were talking about the presentation. Like, did that binaural audio and the actual visual presentation add to this story of Senua?
Oh, absolutely. There are a few moments where the binaural audio, like it comes in the form of like these sort of dueling inner voices that sort of either compliment you or say hey, you're not doing great. You're a
Angel
failure.
or the devil on your shoulder.
Basically, yeah. In the game, they refer to them as the Furies, but yeah, I mean that just it created a lot of weight just for the character. Like I felt for her like considerably, like and again going back to Melina Juergens, like she did a fantastic job on this game. Like she's a first-time actor too, which is incredible. So yeah. I felt for this character immensely throughout the game.
Yeah, it's tough because it is a really grim story. I mean, like even outside of, they kind of like, there's parallels between what's going on in this, it's like a Pict tribe from way back in the day, and obviously again, they didn't have like mental illness diagnoses back then. They didn't know what to label them as, so it was even harder for her to convey to the people close to her. And you start finding out, we won't spoil anything, but you start finding out that it did affect her relationship with other people, as it often does in our lives and everything. So it was pretty grim and sad to see, and it's tough to replay the game. But Jake, you've been replaying it like to capture and make that montage. Did you find that like the game like had even as much impact the second time around?
Yes, I think it has just as much impact. I wouldn't say I was having fun replaying it because like you walked by and you're like, I really like this game, but I don't think I would ever want to play it again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel, but it's not like I wasn't like dreading playing it. I was still really absorbed into what I was playing. It was just like, it can be a tough game to get through. Like it's only 6 hours, but it felt longer than that.
Yeah, I mean you see what is this boss fight right here? Do you remember the name? Suit, and then there's the Vol Raven, and you can do them in any order before you progress. But did you like, Pete, the kind of Celtic Pict setting that they used?
Absolutely, yeah. And it was interesting too because right around the time, Alessandro recommended I can never pronounce the director's last name.
It's from Valhalla Rising from Nicholas Winding
Refn.
Winding Refn, yeah.
Winding Refn.
So before I played this, I had watched that movie, and it is this sort of, we always sort of like focus on, it's reminded us of Vikings or Norse stuff, but it really is its own thing, definitely in history, but definitely in terms of just like, presenting a world, and it just the sort of sinister side of everything that bled through, like the environments, the script, just it was all like, I mean, Hellblade is the perfect name. It's a hellish existence presented through kind of a terrifying aesthetic. And I forever how much that stuff is authentic in this game or in that movie, I don't know. But those combined gave me a real appreciation for what that can do in modern entertainment.
Yeah, with the footage we're watching right now, we just saw whoever's playing almost die, which brings me to my next point about Perma Death. There was kind of a mini controversy surrounding this game when it first released. People were upset. Alessandro, can you tell me a little bit about what happened?
Basically, the mechanic is called the Dark Rot, and after you die, basically, an infection will spread, and if you die enough times, then the infection will take over her body, and it will permanently kill her, wiping all your progress in game.
Yeah, it'll wipe your save on whatever console you're playing.
Yep.
And at first, people thought it was them just saying that to increase the anxiety that she was feeling.
It definitely worked in that regard.
Yeah.
Because I felt like more conscious about not screwing up.
Yeah. And how many times did you actually have to die for it to take effect? Was it different, like based on your difficulty, or because they said later that there is this mechanic is in place, but it might not have been working when it first released?
Yeah, there's been some conflicting things about it, but I played on the hardest setting and I died maybe like 4 times.
Yeah.
But again, going back to what I said earlier, for me, like just presenting that made me extremely anxious about going through the game, and whether it was true or not, and like I feel like it doesn't matter because it worked. It's great.
Yeah.
Meta experience
Yes.
that
Yeah.
pulls you into her struggle. Yeah.
I mean, like, if you want to connect the player to Senua, like, each time you see you're about to go into a fight, rather than be excited, you're like, shit, this could wipe my save if I die enough times.
I was very emotionally invested in every fight. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. And, like, for them to do that with such a kind of macabre, grim story is pretty impressive. And then I do also want to talk about the business angle quick. So this was a $30 game. People are calling it, like, a AA game, right? You have so many games coming.
AAA,
Yeah. You have so many games coming out with microtransactions, and they're saying, well, games are super expensive to make, so we have to include these to actually make back what we were spending on the game and what we were investing in it. But then you have Ninja Theory, who figured out like a budget, and then they figured out a price point that they were hoping would work for them. And then we just saw recently they crossed at least 500,000 copies, which is great for them. The smaller studio in the UK.
And they donated a lot of that profit
Ton of
to
it, yeah.
organizations that help people struggling with mental illness. So
Yeah.
God, like what an awesome story.
All
just in
across the
general,
board.
you know?
Yeah, design-wise, like as a work of art, as like a business standpoint, it's just like a great precedent, hopefully, for
The culture of video games, right?
yeah, in general, yeah, for sure.
and just looking at the game, you can tell like this does not look like an indie game at all.
No.
Like this is possible. Again, this is Ninja Theory at the top of their game when it comes to visuals, and they did some amazing things with the technology, like a sort of the live motion capture to in-game assets like technology they showed at GDC, which was I'm sure will help them out in whatever project they have next. So they did a lot of amazing things in this game.
And in that vein, I mean, certainly a lot of their know-how came from working with bigger publishers on bigger titles. So it's not like we can expect most indie devs to achieve what they've done here, but it is a good sign for studios that do struggle as they grow to, maybe they don't always need to chase bigger and better things. Maybe they can really just, double down on the things they do well and make something interesting.
Yeah, so as we're looking back on like one of the better years in memory of releases in video games, Alessandro, what was like the main thing that stuck with you? And like when you think about Hellblade, kind of mentioned this earlier, but what is it that you think about now as we're going toward the end of the year and talking about all these best of 2017 lists?
Definitely the visuals and presentation. Again, just seeing, well, also the fact that this game covers mental illness in a really respectable way. I think there are a lot of other games that maybe use that subject as like sort of a plot device or like, it's a twist or whatever. But, seeing a main character and staying with her for the entire game and seeing her experiences through her eyes and, where reality and her perspective, which is, altered by her illness, and seeing that both of those like come together as one and the same is, to me, it was very profound and really effective. And I haven't seen a game like this that, affected me so deeply.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it since, like, even after the review was published. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it stayed with me.
Same here. I don't know that I could put it any better than that. That is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice from Ninja Theory over in the UK. Congratulations to all the success they've found with it. From a business standpoint, it's a great precedent, hopefully, for other developers to take notice, which I'm sure they already have. And just from a design-wise, we hope other people can follow in this vein of empathizing with characters we might not usually understand as well. But if you're watching this on YouTube or GameSpot after it's been published, go check out the rest of our Game of the Year coverage. Number 10 was Nier Automata. We announced that on December 11th, and then on December 12th, we announced What Remains of Edith Finch, rounded out the 9 spot. Again, we will be announcing our number 7 game tomorrow at 10 a.m. on the 14th, if that's correct. Kind of losing track of time. But thank you so much for joining, and obviously keep an eye out for that. If you're watching this live, we are going to jump into Hellblade right now, actually. As usual, we've been live streaming these games. So I'm going to have Alessandro pick up a controller, and we will get right into it. So this is right after, you said, the Valraven fight and Suit.
Yeah.
So you get to fight these two in either whatever order you want, and then you continue across the bridge deeper into Valhalla, if I'm not mistaken. Is it not Valhalla? Sorry, like
Helheim.
Helheim, the opposite of Valhalla.
But you guys have to watch Valhalla Rising. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
still
really
appreciate
good.
that recommendation because
Yeah.
that was one of the
Yeah.
most surprising films I'd never known about.
Because he did the Pusher trilogy, and then Valhalla Rising, and then Drive.
Drive, don't forget
and
Drive.
then Only God Forgives. don't watch that.
I
Do
actually
not watch
really
that.
like that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Neon Demon?
Do you
I-
really? No, just kidding.
I haven't seen Neon Demon, but I will go to bat for Only God Forgives.
All right. Maybe I'll ask you to convince me to watch it again after, because last time I watched it, I just...
Or did you go into Only God Forgives expecting like Drive in Bangkok? A lot of people
Yeah,
did.
kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
But I also watched enough of it, and I had watched enough like commentary with Vinding Refn to know that he was kind of, at least from my perspective, he was kind of being self-indulgent at that point. If Drive wasn't, but I love Drive. But anyway. So yeah, this is right after you kill those 2 bosses. I think Valraven is, maybe not objectively, but in my perspective, the harder one.
Yeah.
After Suit.
Oh yeah. Like just replaying it, I think I beat Suit first try. I beat Valraven first try, but it came so close.
Because Valraven, you have to do the those perspective puzzles to get to him, where you're looking
Yeah.
through those archways, which can become tedious if you take a wrong turn, because then if you come back through the archway, it's not.
It like resets.
It literally just, yeah, anytime you walk through it, it'll reset the what's happening in the environment, her perspective. But again, if you miss it and then come back, it'll twist it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or not the wrong way, but like from your perspective, it'll seem the wrong way.
Yeah, this is a very like placid moment right here compared to the harrowing and foreboding like clouds that hang over most scenes.
Yeah, I thought I was right in front of the door, but I guess that didn't autosave there. But that's okay. We get a little calm before the storm.
This is on PS4 Pro, correct?
It is. It looks great
Which
too.
looks really good, yeah. One of the upgraded games that I really noticed. Yeah, I haven't played this since it released, like I said, or since we did that reboot. I played it like 1.5 times, but yeah, it was tough to get through. In a not good way. Yeah, in a good way. I'd say, like in a useful way.
yeah.
Personally challenging
Yeah.
way, yeah.
So yeah, like they said they got the inspiration from the Pick tribe. Like it's pretty, not forgotten, but it was a pretty, yeah, sorry, our TV in the studio is kind of dark.
That's all good.
The Pick tribe was like not much was known about them. I believe like Scotland was the last place they were seen a long time ago when Ninja Theory was trying to find some place to set this game.
You can see a little bit of that rot crawling up her right arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gross looking. The first time it happens to her, when they first tell you about it,
Yeah.
and it crawls up her face, is pretty
Yeah.
gross. Yeah, when you're going to Suit, and then afterward, I mean, even later on, there are a lot of puzzles based around fire, and just on like avoiding it, which you want to do.
It's very weird to play this game without sound though.
Yeah,
'Cause it is
I'm
such
kinda,
Oh, let me
wondering how
unmute
the
it.
next fights are gonna come.
Oh, we got some sound. There you go.
I actually played the full game with like headphones, like really good
Yeah,
headphones.
Yeah.
You should if you can.
Highly recommended if you can.
Even more so than other games.
You may cross the bridge over the river of knives to hell.
This dude, what else does he voice act in? I'll look it up, but he's a great voice actor. He's in a few other like big name things. He's awesome. He's like your guide, I guess you could say.
One thing I also love is we kind of talked about it before in that discussion, but like the voices in your head, and like it's such a video game trope, right? To have that
Yeah.
voice, like think back to Fable, like do you have any food, potions, your health is low or whatever, and like this actually makes sense in the world. Like they're like, look out behind you, watch out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they are punishing too.
Yep.
Is Dillian the dude talking, or is Dillian your like?
That's Senua's a former lover. But
Dillian.
Dillian. But
Dylon.
What?
Oh, no one gets my Dylon joke.
That
okay.
sounds familiar.
Don't worry about it.
Is that Coach? Is that a?
Coach?
No, I was gonna say Coach Hines,
No, I actually forget the exact reference, but it,
substitute teacher. Key and
no.
Peele.
That you lost.
Oh shit, maybe. Either way, let's pay attention to this.
God, get rid of me. I am your shadow. And I will be watching you draw your last dying gasp.
I'm not ready to die.
Will be when you see what they get you in the
I was thinking of Drew, and he also voiced. He was in Battlefront 2 apparently, which I did not play.
I love the way the camera moves around her, and, like doesn't really cut.
come true.
yeah, not having cuts like makes everything really seamless, and like you're always just with her. And,
Yeah. You're always ready to like get back into it just in case.
Tears to smother your furies and banish your fears. But in darkness they came, through stormy black seas they raided these shores. Do you still hear his screams? And now that you're home, he's so far away.
The soundtrack for this game is great too. Aside was the closing credits that sounded like took like a emo metal turn.
Oh yeah,
don't know
I do
about that,
remember
but-
that.
I believe Combi Christ contributed to this game, which they also did work on DMC.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Oh man, I love that game so much.
Yeah.
I hope they do a follow up to it. But I mean, I'd rather get this.
Sword still beats.
I never played Enslaved.
Yeah.
Played Heavenly Sword.
Neither did I.
The PC version is definitely a superior version because when it came out on consoles, there were some issues with the frame rate.
Oh, a cult classic, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
2010
10?
or 9.
L11.
11.
Okay.
We were in the ballpark.
I usually just say years
2000,
and try to sound-
2002?
That is like 98. Speaking of like the Pict in the setting, the Pict tribe in the setting, it's just the character design's unreal. Like between everybody's like the outfits they've designed and everything.
Yeah. Maybe this wasn't the best spot to pick up.
I don't know. This is a pretty good example of just how
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
just how far this game can go.
And feeling like it also, but like yeah, like we said, it earns it.
Right.
I think there's combat coming up.
Yes,
Yes.
we're at,
Yeah.
there's a pretty big combat.
Not that we need it, but maybe a good palate cleanser.
Hell,
The whisper, like the whispers with the binaural audio, is so
Yeah.
is a
enveloping.
is possibly one of the best effects in the game. Like,
Yeah.
See it in the hollows of your eyes. A gaze averted from love. You ran from it, but brought it nearer. Led it to
God, such dramatic shifts.
Yeah.
suffering worse than death.
I mean, like in another way, also yeah, like it conveys her the bipolar nature of all this stuff.
Right.
Because she'll be super optimistic the next minute, and then
The darkness.
her hypos will fade.
So you will walk into the lair of the beast.
There's that one scene near the end, shouldn't spoil anything, but where she's
We can.
in the flowers, you know, like, and there's that tree that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
is like almost, other than like walking back from that area, is like one of the few moments of reprieve that's like, I don't know, it's really well done.
It's even this right here. It's gorgeous, but then you look at how sinister that like the architecture is.
Yeah. And I love how that's almost like over you almost the entire time. Like you
Yeah.
can see that somewhere. It really gives place to the world.
Aren't there some like developers call those weenies? I'm not joking. Like,
Really?
yeah, they're
Winos?
yeah, like weenie. They're used to actually give you a sense of direction all the time. Like The Last of Us does it really well with the bridge in Pittsburgh in
Yeah.
the distance. Uncharted games do it. Well, Naughty Dog in general does it really well. Or what's it called? Suda's recent free-to-play game,
D4?
Never,
Oh.
Never Die.
Let It Die.
Let
Oh,
It Die
Suda,
has the
sorry.
tower
I
in
was
the
thinking
back the
swearing.
whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. I talked to some Witcher devs about a year ago, and that's one thing they said when creating the world. It's like everywhere you look, they wanted like something to so you know where you are.
Yeah. Without like looking at a UI map.
Yeah.
I mean, Breath of the Wild is probably the
Yeah, that is
best
the.
incarnation of it. Combined with the climbing and the gliding. And then yeah, it's like for those who haven't played, you get the, I forget what they call it, this like glowing token on her belt. When that's flashing, you can do like
I think
a
it's just
stun.
focus.
Okay. Yeah, when you activate your focus, you can either like stun these people, slow down time. I guess it's not stunning; it's slowing down time, so you can just hack them to bits. But if they're like in the shadows still, it brings them into the light, so you can fight them.
Nice.
That guy looked so stupid. And also, that's Dillion's head on your belt.
Yeah, that's a thing too.
Yeah.
Every gate you open into darkness. Which is not
That was one of the first times you fight a huge dude. Is this a huge dude? Yeah. Kind of a side note, but when I first saw the early trailers for the new God of War, the reboot, it's like over-the-shoulder melee combat was kind of worrying me and concerning me. I was like, obviously God of War used to be more like Devil May Cry, third-person character action. But then playing this game, I was like, oh, maybe they could pull it off, because Ninja Theory seemed to figure it out. Like, fixed perspective. Literally
I imagine God of War will have a lot more it's trying to juggle, at least in terms of the combat.
Yeah, Kratos' development has always been one of the strong suits of those games.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the focus.
Yeah.
Kind of stumbled into that slice, though.
I love her animations. Like, she's clearly a well-trained warrior, but she's also super, like, maybe not sloppy, but just brutish.
Yeah. Yeah, like the way she does that extra step after a heavy, it almost looks like she's staggering.
You can feel the weight of the sword relative to her strength.
She almost looks exhausted too when she follows through with some of the swings.
And near the end, this game throws so many enemies at you too.
Yeah, there's that one part where you're wading through that like knee-deep, I don't know if it's water, but liquid of some sort, and just when you think you're done, Ruth says something, and he's like, you thought you were free of this, and then you have to fight another 12. Half of them are in shadow, you have to bring them out, and then there's a couple big guys that come in. You're just juggling everything.
The counter is super satisfying too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Right on cue. The shield dudes are tough.
Yeah.
I will... Nice. Like a stagger.
Man, just thinking back to this game kind of came out of nowhere. Like everyone knew about it, but I mean not everyone knew about it, but we knew about it for a while, right? But
yeah. I will say I think the name sounded a bit generic to me at first.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I was like, oh, it's perfect. But at first I was like, oh, what is this? Hellblade : how do you say her name? But
Senua.
yeah. I mean, at the time I was wondering.
Oh.
Considering where we are now with our understanding of what this game is and how great it turned out, looking back to sort of the lukewarm attention that it received when it was announced, I think it was at GDC Europe 2014. People were like, oh, that's interesting. Ninja Theory is doing something smaller. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonder what that's going to be like. Hopefully it's like DMC. It's like, well, we had no idea what we really wanted from them, or what we should have hoped for.
Abs and combo attacks to psychosis and personal sacrifice. Yeah, I remember when they first announced it, my initial response was like, oh man, does not sound like it's going to turn out well.
Right.
You're trying to do what with a video game?
I mean, how do they pivot from this?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm curious what sort of impact this had on them as creators as well. Just sort of steeping in in this atmosphere for years.
So this is a good example though of using the environment to solve those puzzles. I love where they take it though eventually, where it's you're looking at the world in different angles in order to build paths to get through.
Yeah, it's one thing to have that in the game, but the fact that when psychosis manifests, it often you see patterns in the world that other people don't. The fact that she's actually kind of accepting it and trying to use it as best she can is pretty awesome. Awesome's not the best word, but I mean the way that they conveyed it was great.
It's clever.
Yeah.
Just a breathtaking looking game as well. This is the sort of thing when I see a game that looks like this, I don't worry about when the next generation of consoles is coming out. It's I'm totally satisfied with what I'm seeing here.
The lighting is unreal.
Yeah. And the superimposing of different there's some live action stuff superimposed over like I'm not
Yeah.
wrong, right? Like
No, I
that-
think,
yeah,
all,
there is.
I think all of
Yeah.
Druth is always live
Yeah.
action,
yeah,
isn't
yeah. Just like the way that doesn't seem to. There's no like harsh contrast between the two styles. Like it just fucking works.
Which I feel like is tough to do.
Yeah.
They actually did something like that in Enslaved, actually.
Oh, really?
The use of live action.
SMV,
cinematics.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. It definitely works better in this game.
Sure.
because, it was a bit jarring seeing that in Enslaved, but they blend it in a way like we're just like it contrasts like clearly, like intentionally with the in-game
Yeah.
visuals, and it just sort of creates a surreal quality to them.
So what do we have left? The X?
Yes.
Yeah. How many times did you have you played through this, Alessandro? Like 2 or 3 at this point?
Like twice.
Yeah.
Hard. I went on hard mode for the first time.
Oh, gotcha.
So
I like those. I don't know. They're not tombstones, but those like little monuments kind of
Yeah,
give you a
glyphs, yeah.
backstory whenever you do it. When you find out what happened to Dillian and Senua, again, it makes it even more heartbreaking.
I don't remember. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Is like the rating. I mean, we don't have to. I mean, we've been talking about spoilers on these live streams, but I guess we've already gone this far without spoiling this. It is a short enough
There
game,
you go.
maybe. But yeah, it's just like you find out like what. It adds guilt to her story, and makes it even harder to digest.
Do you feel like it sort of ties back to the beginning of the story when we join her as someone who's more or less being outcast?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because like that's her dad like kept her isolated for how long because of her symptoms, and no one knew. They just assumed she was totally insane.
then her mother actually had similar
Yeah.
issues as well, and she was also like treated as an outcast.
Yeah.
They viewed it as a curse.
It was a curse. Yeah, that's what they were saying. So he's like they essentially made it sound like her dad put her in like a pit, and then Dillian was one of the few people who treated her like a human being.
So good. It's Helen.
Yes, the source of the dark. It's coming.
That's her mom, right, Hella?
This is your mom.
It's a bit more complicated, but
I'm sorry. I can't watch
What you're doing, you're showing weakness. You're not a warrior, you're a disgrace. The gods will punish you for this. Pick up the sword, pick it up, fight the darkness, fight it. Get up. Get up. Get up.
The way they parallel the actual like Ragnarok happening in the world with her internal struggles is pretty amazing.
yeah.
Storm.
After playing this game, I had to like do research on like all the aspects of like Norse mythology and like
Yeah.
the Pict culture.
Visions of our memories, thoughts, and fears, as seen by our inner eye. But what if each one of us is always dreaming, even when awake, and we only see what our inner eye creates for us? Is this what hell is? A world shaped by Senua's nightmares. Maybe that's why people feared seeing the world through her eyes. Because if you believe that Senua's reality is twisted, you must accept that yours might be too.
You failed the gods.
These monologues are all so well written too.
Wrong. Curse. What were you thinking? Did you really think you could win? How stupid can you be? Everyone hates her. She's cursed. Look at you. A warrior. Worthless. Weak. Pathetic. Dwarf.
That's like the first time you see her saying these things, right? Like you
Right.
see her.
Take it. If you're too much of a coward to fight, then end the suffering. Broken and lost. Just like your soul.
Yikes.
Yeah.
You have to do the trials to get the sword from the tree later, right?
That's coming up.
Yeah.
My God.
Probably go another 5 minutes in this and then call it a stream.
Okay.
I forget what happens now. I know you're unarmed for a while, right?
Yeah.
You see that rod crawling up? Well, a little bit more.
So that was like the thing with it too, was that it crawled up just as you progressed too. Like it wasn't even
Yeah.
just dying. Because like, I don't think I died a whole lot, but by the end it was like up my arm, and it seemed like
Yeah.
for everyone it was like up their arm, if not further.
I think for like the separate cutscenes and stuff, they had to like account for how far it was up your arm, right? They had to show it based on your playthrough for each cutscene.
By the end, like it's like all the way up to
Yeah.
her shoulders. I'm just still blown away that this is actually from a first-time actress too. Like her
Yeah.
performance, like just fantastic.
What'd you say? Melina Juergens?
Zelina Jenkins, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw her. It was on the stage at GDC. They were demonstrating it looked like these literally two cameras
Right.
came up and pointed right at her with the sensors on her face. But it renders in real time, so they had the screen up to the right, and so they were capturing it as she did it. They didn't have to like run it through anything else. It just like showed them what it would look like. It's like I wonder if they would have access to that kind of stuff. Like you said, if they didn't have that AAA background. Like I don't know what kind of
That technology is getting more affordable and smaller. It's been around for a long time, but yeah, it's the sort of thing where I think you're going to see it used more often, just as it becomes more prevalent and economical.
Well, if you watch their like behind the scenes, they did it like in an office. Like it looked like a really like janky setup, but
Yeah,
clearly, I mean, it didn't matter.
right.
Reminds me of like LA Noire facial capture, which was how long ago?
Yeah.
7 years at least. But much better than LA Noire.
There it is. It's still in. He's gone. You were too slow. How could you? Keep going. How could you? Keep going. Ignore the pain. I told you it was to trick you. I told you. Where are you going? See, there's nothing to follow. Come on.
I feel like a glass of water would help her feel a lot better.
Anything.
And a nap.
Yeah.
Before she first met him, she was not in a good place.
Understatement of the year.
Just a teenager, but not like the others. Barely functioning, she rarely left the house. Her father's inbound made sure of that.
Dang, that looks so good.
Yeah.
Only occasionally did she venture out on her own, collecting firewood and herbs. Errands out on the Orkney Plains. That was her world. Like this one. Barren and lonely. You're getting stronger.
Man, some of those trials are terrifying too.
Yeah, I forget. What are some of the ones you have to do?
Well,
like-
one is just you're in complete darkness and you're just listening.
Oh, that's right. And then, there's the one where the fire's chasing you through the hallways and then labyrinth, kind of.
He was.
But like the darkness when because you really feel that binaural audio really comes in because you hear like things moving in front of you, around you, and then you'll like stumble up
Yeah.
and almost touch one. You'll be like, you'd have to.
Yeah, because I played a lot of this to capture, or just to play in the office, but then I think I finished it at home, like at night, and it was
World danced with it.
pretty riveting.
The gloom. first time in years, she felt a ray of hope.
Also, the level design is just great. How it snakes back in on itself with the puzzles and like it's kind of like a I don't know. I don't want to say Dark Souls, but it's really good in the level design how it doubles back and you create shortcuts back to the places you need to go. For the record, I didn't say Dark Souls. I said I don't want it. Yeah, this game had a lot of people on staff like pushing hard for it. Not even hard. Like I don't think anybody was in disagreement that it was a special game.
No, this is one of the easier ones
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, and it actually started like outside of the top 10 that we
Based on our votes.
based
yeah.
on our votes, and it was
And like
like
6 of us were like, all right, we need to push it
Yeah.
out. Maybe more. I know Jess McDonald in the AU office. I think this was one of her favorites, if not her favorite of the year.
this is my personal number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had it. Number 4 for me.
Yeah. Tamora and Adam in the UK did a really good video on the business side of
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
how it's a pretty good precedent and kind of a breakthrough in a way, maybe, hopefully, for development costs and development.
Just a wake up call.
Yeah, you don't need to be working yourself to death. I mean, I know they worked hard on it, but you hear all these horror stories about crunch and this game cost X millions to make, and they sold this many copies, and most of the money went into their next project.
Crunch under the pressure of milestones set by investors who own a publisher that you're like beholden to at
Yeah.
every turn.
Would you say you want to call it here?
Sure.
Showed enough? Cool. All right, yeah. I mean, like we said, if you haven't played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, you should absolutely go do that. Thank you to everybody who stuck around for the stream. Again, Nier Automata was our number 10 game. What Remains of Edith Finch was number 9 by Giant Sparrow. And Ninja Theory's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, a fantastic game. Conveys empathy for a character that other media might not be, probably wouldn't be able to. Great presentation, great design. The way it ties it all together is fantastic. Great precedent on Ninja Theory's part, and we had a ton of people on staff that needed this to be high up there, and I'm really glad it got into our top 10. Well-deserved in a year of fantastic games. As usual, we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific to show off our number 7 game, and then Friday we'll finish off the week with number 6, and then next week we'll go 5, 4, and then on Wednesday we'll do a mega stream for our 3, 2, 1 games, just so you don't spend a whole night kind of knowing what our number 1 game is. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Again, go catch up with our other Game of the Year streams and discussions from yesterday and Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.